Huh?
How did I get a drunkard?
Right.
Well, it has other names. I've forgotten now what it is, but.
Road to
Well, it has
Road to something.
falling timber, around the
That's kinda
world.
like as the drunkard's path.
But then the fourth one was Fool's Puzzle. So, yeah. But anyway, this is what I did. And I'm going to show you how I did this one. Like I said, it was so easy. It was so easy. You make one block and you make it in different colors. This is what you make. One of those. And one of those. And you just make a bunch of them and put them together. You start with you cut strips and then you cut blocks. And you have 4-inch blocks and 3-inch blocks. And then if you have a friend like Tina who has a template for Drunkard's Path.
Oh, I did have one of them.
You cut out your pieces.
Before you go any further, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I've often wondered if I wanted to make a 4-inch drunkard's pad. You know, sometimes in these magazines they'll be 10. Well, I wanted to make a 5-inch. How do I know how to make that the arc? How do you resize the arc?
I will give you Lindsay's number because she did a demo on this last time and maybe she can tell you how. Because when I was looking at this, I was thinking about you. This little one here, it's like 1 7/8 and 1 5/8. So I just made them 2-inch blocks and then cut it down to 1 7/8 because I didn't know how to
But how
get
did
there.
you change the arc? How do you know where to put the arc? Am I missing something?
If it's a template that you're supposed to cut out, just resize it when you print. Print it at like 120%, and it'll the template will be larger than print. Yeah, just have
So
to.
I have to start with a template of some size, you think?
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
And then resize that
Those
template.
arcs don't match up with anything, the seams don't match, just eyeball it, make them all the same.
Yeah, see.
Or easier yet, make it the size of the template.
Make it hard.
I've seen runners pads, if they're
And then just get a
a
corner.
tiny little arc in the corner, it's not
Just in
the normal look.
Ah, well, I'll, at the end, I'll tell you how you get that.
All right. Shut up and you go ahead.
I stumbled across that. Anyway, you've got these two pieces now, and you're going to put them together, and everybody says, ooh, curve, curve, curve. But yeah. What you do, this is what I did. I took this piece and folded it like that and creased it. I took this piece and folded it like that and creased it. And then I put those two creases together. And I pinned it. And I did that when I first started because I thought, I don't know what this is going to do, so I think I'll pin it. I'll be safe. Then you take this corner and match it up with this corner. And I pinned that too. Thinking that eventually I would get away from all these pins.
Did you?
You need more things.
This is where the fun part is, because you know how we talk about biased edges and all that stuff? Oh, well, you get to manipulate this. So what I did was just hold on to these two and I stretched until they sort of fit. Then I pinned the heck out of it.
Oh my goodness.
That's about the only way to do it.
And I started out with the little one on top, and I stretched it and pinned it. But when I sewed it, I turned it over so I could watch for little pleats or whatever. And this was a fun part too. Because I don't know if you guys have ever made clothes, but when you do a curve like that, you snip, snip, snip. On this, you don't have to snip. You don't have to snip. You just iron it. Hello. Sorry. And you end up with this. Now this has been pinned for 2 years, so
It kind of needs arms.
it kind of needs arms. It kind of needs arms. It looks like this. Then you start putting them together.
So was there any squaring up?
Oh, I'm glad you said that because
Because that one looks bigger.
let me see if I can find my. This gets back to your little arc. You start out with. Let me see. Okay, this is my 4-inch block and my 3-inch block, and I put them together, and it has not been squared up. If you go to square this sucker up, and I may not be doing square up right, but I only need a 3.5-inch block. So I have a lot that I'm going to cut off. So you have to be careful because you can either get a block. Now these are both 3.5-inch blocks. You can get one with an arc that looks like that, or one that looks like that.
But as long as you did them all the same.
If you did them all the same, yeah, that would be fine. But you have to be careful. I'm pretty sure there's a couple that didn't. I didn't look. But you have to be careful when you square them up. You see these little dots on here? They aren't supposed to be there because this was supposed to be one of those iron pins that comes off with the heat. But it didn't because it was a regular pin.
I've done that too.
And on my notes, I have, this is from 2 years ago, on my notes I had VI, very important. Use these dots. I don't know why. I don't remember. So if any of you guys try this quilt, you may figure out why these dots are important, but I can't tell you. Okay, well, if you don't want to do it that way, there's another way that's called easy peasy drunkard's pad. And I'll show you how that goes, and you can decide if it's easy peasy. You start out with a 5.5-inch block and a 7.25-inch block. And you're going to end up with 4 of these. Yeah, make 4 all at one time. And you also need, this is a 5.5-inch piece of interfacing. Do you still call it interfacing if it's sticky?
Fusible.
Fusible, that's, yeah. And on that 5.5-inch, you draw a 4.5-inch circle. Just draw a circle. And then you put this circle on top of this. And you have to be careful that you've got the part that's going to be sticky against the fabric, and then when you turn it, it'll be out, so that it'll actually stick onto something instead of you spend all that time ironing and you pick up your thing and they all fall off. Been there, done that.
Stickies all over your arm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so much fun.
That's fun too.
Fabric, the softener sheet will take it off.
Good to know. You end up with this. And what you do is trim your circle. You cut your fusible. and then you turn it. And then you take your 7 1/4 inch fabric, and I quartered mine so that I could line my thing up. Then I quartered this, put marks on it so that I can line it up, so that I don't end up with fat side and skinny side, which I still did, but that's okay. Then you iron it. And then you cut it into 4 pieces. And that's, this one is made that way. These two are made the original way.
Well, that is easy peasy.
Well, see, I did that because that was one of the things, you know, making 2 sizes, and I thought, well, it'd be easier to make the small ones this way than to make it that way.
You
So,
need to give us directions for that one.
So was it easier?
Huh, that would have been
I would
easier.
have thought so too.
yes and no. It sounds easier, but you can see where if you don't get that circle exactly round, you end up with some flat places. So I didn't care for that. But I did a couple of these, and I thought, no, I like the pinning. That was the fun part. So I went back, that one is all pinned, and I enjoyed it.
So what did you start with, a 5.5 dark and a 7.5 light, right? On that.
On the circle one, yes. And you need a 4.5 inch circle for the big one,
Did you get it?
and a 2.5 inch circle for the little one. Well, this is, the little one.
Do you think if you made the circle smaller, it would have made it more distinct, like the
I
pin one?
guess I missed part.
Because it's like there's more black, the black's more predominant in the circle.
Well, what time you can do that? You can use you sew right on the line all the way around.
Maybe,
You can.
if my circles had been more circly, it would have turned out better, because then this would have been, it would have been more defined. This kind of just runs in to just like a drunk did it.
That's why it's called Drunkard's path.
Well, we were out for COVID, so.
Did
Yeah.
you top stitch the circle to the other piece?
Not fused it.
Just fused it?
Let me see.
I mean, is it sewed around or just fused on?
I stitched it.
You have
Top
to stitch it.
stitched it.
You have to stitch it, don't you?
Yeah, that.
I would think.
Yeah,
I would think eventually it would.
Yeah.
So
Peel
is there a
off.
raw edge there?
Hmm.
Is there a raw edge then that you?
You turn it in, you make a slit in the interfacing and then turn it. Yeah, but you've got to sew it.
Yes.
Yeah, because you cut it and turn it. And then you have to roll it. Whoops.
You're not supposed
See?
to do that.
You don't want to do that. But it's really hard to get all of those little bumps out of there, I thought.
One help when you sew a circle on your machine is to take the stitch down smaller,
Very small.
very small, and sew right on the line, and once you start, don't stop. Keep turning it, turning it, turning it. Because every time you stop, you're gonna get a little blip. I don't want that.
What is that again?
That's a technical term.
Just slow, but trying not to stop and stay right on that line.